Alright, so in this run I decided to play Romania. With Romania, in my opinion, it doesn't really matter to play Wallachia or Moldavia. But let's play Wallachia, because, why not? This is my first time playing Romania, so I think they did a pretty good job. I formed Romania before 1450, I think. But Hungary declared war on me here, I think. And I just seized down some provinces to make a Hungarian army defeat easier. Eventually. And Serbia comes in, and the Ottomans have some rebel issues. But Serbia comes in, I'm just raiding the rest of Hungary. Along with Serbia, I guess. Well, earlier. And, yeah. Just taking down some more provinces. My goal here is to try and take modern Romanian borders, which I do. And Lithuania is preparing his army, and he went over and invaded Poland, I think. But Lithuania has some allies here, I think, so his war might not go that well. Anyway, with Romania Consolidate, I just kind of looked around the map for a little bit. Just scored a little bit of stuff, like basically just Moldavia, and that's about it. But I get called into a war, and I got one in. Poland's army gets defeated here, basically. But that's mostly the end of the war. Here I'm trying to get Hungary again. But this war isn't like that complicated. Oh yeah, one thing just like on a side note, if like a developer is watching this, you should probably change the hue of Hungary and Bohemia, because not Hungary, Romania and Bohemia, because they're pretty close together. Yeah. Anyway, the Ottomans were over invading the Mamluks, and I had plans on invading the Ottomans. Which, it'll be pretty cool in my opinion if I was able to get Bulgaria and stuff like that. Expand Romania down that way. I'm having a pretty good Romania game so far. But the Ottomans went bankrupt, so I was able to just stifle their armies. But I did a pretty good job here. I went over and invaded some of northern Greece and into Macedonia. And the Ottomans still have rebel problems. I think in this run I did, well, not this run, but this specific war, I release Albania as well. Yeah, there we go. But the Ottomans sadly invade Albania, so yeah. Anyway, I'm over there invading Hungary in the north. But the thing is, Hungary gets some rebel problems because I didn't really do my coring business properly. Not now, but a little bit later, they have some rebel problems. But the thing is, those rebel problems happen when I'm still in a war with Hungary, so I just vassalize Hungary and let them rebel. So, some pretty smart moves. Anyway, go ahead and ally the Horde, and the Horde's invading Lithuania here, I think. Then also, Byzantium got released by the Mamluks. There are some pretty bad borders in the Balkans as of now, with the Ottoman territories being how they are. Anyway, I still have plans to go down south again and take over Constantinople as Romania, because that seems like a pretty fun goal to do. But my main allies here are over in the east with the Golden Horde and Mamluks. Anyway, I go over and invade the Byzantines. Of course, more land. And I go ahead, of course, more land again, and take Constantinople. Anyway, the Byzantine defenses are pretty much gone at this point. I go ahead and invade the northern areas of the land. And I just leave out Morea and give Thessaloniki to the Ottomans so I could just take it another war. That's how things play out, which they do. Oh yeah, if you're wondering why I might not be on the game that much, as of recently, I was trying to beat this tower in some game called Jato, or Ito, I guess that's what it's called now. I still calling it Jato, I used to play it. But uploads will probably just be regular, as they are. Well, anyway, this is a pretty good Romania game so far. I went and already got Constantinople. I have a vassalship over Hungary. So, pretty big run, but I still have some more ambitions to go. Firstly, Serbia and Greece. Secondly, Turkey. Thirdly, Albania. And also that one province in Hungary that's not my vassal. Because I think it's this Transylvania at this point. But I go ahead and vassalize the Byzantines over there. And I go ahead and try and vassalize that place to it. No, I don't. I just hand Hungary. Alright then. Well, Hungary gets expanded. My vassal getting bigger is not that, bad of a thing for me, in my opinion. Anyway, Serbia gets mass sieged. And I just basically take the entire thing except for Lake Ragusa. So as of right now, I'm kind of technologically behind, in terms of military stuff. And I still have 14, not actually, I think I still have beginning of the game tech, not even 1480. So, not great. But my navy proceeds to do basically nothing. And I take Rome, but my technological advancement is still kind of behind, so it just falls back and it becomes a fort before I could do much of anything. Or plan to do much of anything. Anyway, some rebels happen, but this really isn't that big of a deal. It gets cleaned up mostly. But I did a pretty good job here. I took over Albania, which was the main point of the war. I'm not sure if you guys saw that necessarily because of rebels. But here I'm trying to invade the Ottomans and over into Anatolia, basically. I take over the yellow state first. I think it's called Jeriman or something. I don't know. But if I take that over, I could potentially get cheaper claims on the Ottomans, so I try and do that. Anyway, I take over some land owned by the Ottomans. Their army gets kind of beaten up a little bit. And they're basically just fully occupied at this point, with some small exceptions of Izmir and some other areas. Anyway, I take over most of Anatolia at this point. There's still one province, but I just leave that to the Mamluks, basically. I did a pretty good job in this run so far. Anyway, I go ahead and squash the Albanian rebels, even though I'm kind of bankrupt at this point. But I'm doing basically just fine. My goal here is to kind of core more stuff, but me and the Golden Horde and the Mamluks are just kind of the ones running this show at this point. Sweden's just over in the corner here, as far as I'm aware. I don't really know what Sweden was doing that much. They were just kind of static most of the game. Yeah, that's basically it. I think Norway was also just probably colonized or something too. But anyway. Over here, somewhat close to now, the Horde and the Mamluks fight a war with each other and just kind of sit on the sidelines and watch. I had some ambitions on France here because it's France. It's just kind of what you do. But I was checking the culture map, building some more dev, because late game, if you build more dev, that's usually how you get the manpower. It's not just sitting around and you get the manpower by conquering. That's not how the late game works, really. Early game, you could get away with that pretty easily. And honestly, that's kind of what I do early game, but late game, that's just not what you do. Anyway, here I go over and expand my vassal empire stuff. And I go over and invade Austria. And then later Styria and Venice too. But Venice is too big for me to directly vassalize, so I just hand a bunch of the land over to Austria. So I guess that's good for the Austrians. Maybe. Anyway, I also vassalized Styria instead of just handing them over to Austria for some reason. I don't really know what my logic was there, but that's what I did. Anyway, Venice casually gets humbled here. Switzerland gets released and Austria gets some land. And some Greek islands get moved over too. Venice is basically just reduced to starting size, with some mild exception. And the Horde's name tag kind of looks bad over Europe. Anyway, the Mamluks are over there preparing their troops as a Golden Horde, but the Golden Horde's poorer than a Mamluk, so this doesn't go that well. Anyway, the Mamluks start invading the Horde, and I'm just kind of watching from the sidelines. I didn't really want to get involved. But it's a pretty interesting war. The Mamluks just left. I'm not even sure why they left. I think it's just like some internet issue or something. But the Horde pieced them out in the meantime, I think, because they just weren't doing that great. I was preparing to invade the Mamluks, but the thing is, I still had a truce for them. That's the reason. I forgot why, but I had a truce with them, so that just did not end well. So we do a little jump cut to me invading Lithuania. Here I'm just kind of sacking Lithuania for a rival war, I think. But Lithuania gets kind of crippled there, and I go ahead and claim more of Mamluk lands. And then I proceed to forget again that the Mamluks are still kind of powerful at this point, so yeah, this doesn't end that well. I mean, I don't lose, but I don't really win either. But I do have a nice little early game start. So I sneak down into like Anatolia. I have like a big expansion spree early on, and it looks pretty nice as of now. I usually have Syria, part of Iraq, all the way into Egypt. That's a pretty big size, but after that, there's not much I could really do at this point. The Mamluks are reconquering some of Egypt. I try and siege Jerusalem, but it just doesn't work that well. So I white piece the Mamluks basically, and that's basically the run.